62% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved for an emergency. If all four tires blow off of your car or you have to fix a window in your house, we actually aren't prepared to be able to spend that money for that emergency. Instead, we'll wind up going into debt, putting it on credit cards, maybe not even paying it off entirely. So savings is a conversation we need to have. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Chris Muzan, your financial coach, financial therapist, financial planner, whatever you want to call us. We're here to educate you about how to get ahead financially. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit more about savings and having a proper savings strategy if you're just getting started back in your savings journey. So stick around. You're going to get a bunch of information on what you can do if savings has not been your strong suit. It's not been something that you are good at, because a lot of times we say, I'm not good at saving. This is the video for you. Stick around. As always, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This way you can get more of the information that we're putting out around finances, around entrepreneurship. That's really going to be able to take your life to the next level. So make sure you give us a subscribe here on the channel. All right, guys, for today's video, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can start saving money. Savings is a problem in this country, especially if you're watching this here in America. Savings is an issue. Why? I just saw this stat come out. 62% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved for an emergency. If all four tires blow off of your car or you have to fix a window in your house, we actually aren't prepared to be able to spend that money for that emergency. Instead, we'll wind up going into debt, putting it on credit cards, maybe not even paying it off entirely. So savings is a conversation we need to have. And as I talk about savings, there's a couple things I want you to understand. One, before you have an investing habit, you've got to have a savings habit. Investing is where most people want to get to. Investing their money wisely, getting some growth on their money. Sometimes you hear people say, I want my money to work for me. Those are all great things that can happen in your financial life. But before you have an investing habit, you have to have a savings habit. You have to actually have a habit of saving. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, savings is a habit. It's not a number. I know you might have a number in mind that you would like to get to, but saving is a habit. If we start there with the thought that saving is a habit, this may lead to the reason why many people can't save or aren't saving money, just specifically because they haven't built the habit of saving money. So that's where we got to start. We got to start with learning how to create habits. Anything that we do consistently over time builds a habit. Well, the problem is in our savings, if we've never been taught how to save money, and remember, just because you know that you should do something doesn't mean you know how to do something. So just because we know we should save money doesn't mean we know how to save money. And so if we've never been taught how to save, it's likely you don't have the habit of saving. We might have the habit of saving and touching. Again, in the financial world, when we sit down and coach people in this financial space, here's something we see a lot. We see oftentimes that people say, you know what, Chris, I can't save money. And then I'll take them back to a time where they did save money for a specific reason. You saved money because you wanted to buy a house. You needed that $20,000 down payment. You didn't know how you were going to do it, but you saved up enough. You built the habit of putting money aside so that you could get that house. Maybe it was to go to college. Maybe it was to buy that car. Maybe it was to get that nice clothes, those shoes, that purse, whatever it is that you want. Maybe it was to save up for a vacation. So we can save money. We have the ability to save money, but we always have to have a reason to save money. And a lot of times the reason that we're saving money is to spend money, right? We're saving it with the intent to spend. We save for a house, we're going to spend the money on the house. We're saving for the vacation, we're going to spend the money on the vacation. So when it comes to just saving and having a proper emergency fund, we might not have the habit of doing that. We might not know how to just put money aside and not touch it. But a proper emergency fund that we all need to get to is 3 to 6 months worth of your income set aside. Now, you may hear some financial professionals say expenses. I'm always going to tell you it should be 3 to 6 months worth of your income, because you know what to do with your income. Ideally, your expenses should be lower than your income. So let's say, round numbers, you make $5,000 a month, but your expenses are $3,000 a month. Well, if you only saved up $9,000, which would be 3 months of your expenses, it wouldn't last you 3 months because you're used to bringing in $5,000. So actually, that might only last you 2 months. Might not even last you 2 months because you're used to having 5,000. So that's why I'm always going to encourage you to save your income. So if it's 3 months to 6 months of your income and you make $5,000 a month, that would be $15,000. Big difference between $15,000 and $9,000 for a proper emergency fund. But that would be the first place to think is, okay, I need to get to 6 months, 3 to 6 months worth of my income. So I have to build the habit of saving, not the habit of saving and touching. I save and then I touch. That's a habit also, but it's not a habit that builds towards emergency funds. So we have to build a habit of saving and not touching. So there's 3 things I want you to pay attention to on this journey if you're just getting started off in saving. Number 1, pay yourself first. When money hits your account, what's the first thing you do with it? You pay your bills? Do you pay your mortgage? Do you pay your car insurance? Do you go eat? What's the first thing that happens when that money hits your account? If you believe in tithing, then tithing becomes the first thing that should happen after the money hits your account. Once the money hits your account, first 10% goes to God. The next part of that should go to you. Now, if you don't believe in tithing, then the first part goes to you. But the first thing that should happen when money hits your bank account on Friday or Monday or whenever you get paid, you need to take a small amount and you need to set it aside specifically for you. Don't pay your bills first. Don't go eat first. Don't give it away first or pay the debts first. Pay yourself first. This is a habit that you create over time that will set you up for financial success. But most of us don't have that habit. Most of us have been taught that paying your bills first, that making sure you pay down your debt is the most responsible. Actually, no. The most responsible thing is to be able to keep more of the money that you make and have discipline to set it aside for yourself. So when money hits your account, first things first, you gotta pay yourself first. Make that a habit, okay? Second thing, don't bite off more than you can chew. Sometimes we get into a place where we say, you know what? I haven't been saving money. I got $5,000 coming in. I haven't really saved anything. Let me take $500 and save it. Let me take $600 and save it. This month might be a little bit easier for me, so let me put a large chunk of that, $500. Let me put it away. And what happens is, a month goes by, maybe 2 months go by, and you're like, man, I actually need that $500. I wasn't prepared to put all of that aside because I'm used to spending it. So now what do? We go and touch the $500. We go and say, oh, let me take a little bit from it. And then it happens again, we take a little bit from it. So again, we're reinforcing a negative savings habit. So what we need to do is say, okay, instead of feeling some shame or some guilt around not saving money, let me not overextend myself. Matter of fact, let me take this to the lowest common denominator. Let me take it to the lowest number that I can possibly get, and let me just put that aside. So for some people, this might be $50 a check. For some people, this might be $20 a check. For some people, it might be $100 a check. But you want to get to a very low amount that you can commit to setting aside every week or every paycheck that you get, no matter what. So we have clients that we sit down with that we've started them on exactly that, $40 out of every check. Because why? Savings is not an amount, it's a habit. We all waste $40 every 2 weeks. Even you listening, you waste $40 every 2 weeks or $20 every 2 weeks. We all have those places. So the question is, instead of wasting it, wouldn't you rather it go to you? That's why now you pay yourself first and you take just a small amount, $40 out of every check, and put it into a savings account. That savings account that you put it into, not in the market, it's not invested, it's not going to grow or lose money. You put it in a savings account in the bank, set it aside, but take a small amount and do it every single check. Never miss a check, because that builds a habit. Anything we do repeatedly builds a habit. So now we're building the habit of savings by 1, paying ourselves first, by 2, not biting off more than we can chew, meaning taking a little bit and doing it consistently over time. Because what happens is the more that we put a little bit aside and we build the habit of it, let's say you do that 7, 8, 9, 10 paychecks in a row. It might not be a big amount over there, but you've built some confidence in saving. And you notice you still have more money left over. You're at the same exact financial place because you spend about the same money. You just didn't waste that extra 20 or $40. So now in your mind, you could say, I can go from 40 to 75 a check. I can go from 20 to 50 a check, because you're seeing your money and you've built the habit. Now we can gradually build the habit of saving where we put more and more money away as we built the habit. I hope that makes sense. So pay yourself first. Don't bite off more than you can chew. And then number 3, do not touch your savings under no circumstances. Even if you have debt, we'll do another video on debt versus savings, because that's always a big question. But even if you have some debt, you don't want to dive into your savings. You don't want to build the habit of touching your savings. So once you start putting it aside consistently, do not touch it. You might have to put something on a credit card instead of touching your savings. That's okay, because you're building a habit. Now, there might be a different issue there if we need to make more money, right? Your cash flow is off. We did another video on that. But you want to get in the habit of not touching your savings for any reason. You want to be able to build savings at the same time everything else is happening. The moment that you stop putting money into your savings and then go and touch it, you're breaking the habit. Now we have to start all over again. So those three things for you beginners out there that are just starting the process of savings, or you want this year your savings to grow, focus on those three things. Number one, pay yourself first, not last, not after all the bills are paid. Number two, don't try to save too much money. You got to start where you are. Start with the little amount that you can stay consistent in. Don't fluctuate. Just keep that same amount. Do it 7, 8, 9, 10 paychecks in a row and watch the habits grow, because then you'll grow the amount that you can save. Number three, don't touch your savings. Under no circumstances, don't touch your savings, because then you are breaking that habit that you are building. If you just follow those couple things and know that savings is a habit, you will begin to get your savings on track and get closer to that 6 months of emergency fund that you really need, so you can go off and invest for the rest of your life and not have to look back at your cushion. All right, y'all, that was another video. Again, like and subscribe. If this was something that was helpful for you, leave some comments. If you got some added questions, leave some questions in here. We're more than happy to help. Jump into any of the other content that we have to help you down this path of your financial journey. And we'll be back next week with another show. Take care.